My question to you would be, and what is your response? As somebody who lives in Malawi, you hear about this, you hear about aid, you see the big white Land Rovers, you see the big white Land Cruisers, you see the big white Toyotas, and what they were saying was sometimes those people who are doing aid are living very, very well. They don't pay tax, they have huge salaries, they have servants at their homes, and they are living better than they would live if they were staying in America in their house. So that's a perspective. Then there's a perspective out here to say, hey, listen, somebody needs help, let's go and give them help. They also talked about World Bank, IMF, all those big global agencies and World Bank, that at the end, they enslave rather than liberate, right? You get along and you become an economic slave. You saw what happened in Beira, right? Last week with all the flood, right? Now Beira is a port. So if there is rain, you expect the rain to go into the sea, right? Nobody should be flooded. But you all know from history when the Portuguese were leaving, they sabotaged the infrastructure, they took cement and they put the cement in every drainage system. And so that's clogged, so there's no drainage in Beira. So when it rains, the rain can't go anywhere. So that's why there's loss of life. I don't know if you knew that. Right after as the Portuguese were leaving, they put cement down the toilets, cement down the sewage, out of spite. Now here are people who had come years earlier to develop, and then they became spiteful. You all know what happens in Francophone Africa, that some of those countries are still paying France for their infrastructure. When France gave them independence, they negotiated, they said, we built this bridge, this bridge costs so much per month, this bridge costs so much per month. More than 40 to 50% of France's gross national product is money collected from outside the country based on what they say they gave aid. So that's the perspective. We who live in America, some of us have a different perspective.
The aid that people receive, of course it's good to help out with that, but I believe that every nation has potential to actually do something. I mean, if you look at Africa has resources. Talk of Malawi has resources that we can actually maybe utilize them and maybe become economically stable. But you find that, as maybe you have put it at some point, societies, or should I say organizations, becoming from maybe abroad, coming in Malawi to actually, in the name of maybe helping out or giving out some aid. But at the end of the day, you find that they're actually maybe exploiting our resources. Okay, I'll give an example of, let's say, China. Let's talk about maybe China. They'll be coming in Malawi and say, we're building the parliament for you guys. Right? But you check the conditions that these guys maybe, or the terms and conditions that these guys give, find that maybe we're not even benefiting. It's actually them that are benefiting. But to us, to the people that see, we just maybe see the things that these guys do. So I feel like, in as much as we're being helped, but we should also look at the fact that we are also potentially able to actually do something. Okay, we have the resources. Maybe what we need most is the knowledge. If it was me, I would go for the knowledge. Okay, like, how can I utilize this? How can you utilize this? I like maybe just coming and giving me a shoe. It's better somebody tells me how to make the shoe than rather give me the shoe. Because if he just gives me the shoe, then that shoe wear out. Right? Unlike if he tells me how to actually make my own shoes. Because when it wears out, I'll be able to make another one. So I feel like, in as much as these guys are helping us out, what if they invest in our knowledge, invest in education, or invest in industries, rather than maybe just coming and putting something there. Okay, we'll construct a bridge for you, and then, as you say, you have to give back, and then at the end of the day, you have to pay back. So, to my side, I feel like, in as much as donor aid is okay, but I would prefer if these donors would rather invest in education than infrastructures. So that's actually my point.
Kind of spoke a little bit about it with our group. It's kind of the same with what you said. The thing about poverty is what we should do is, like, when we come in to help and aid, is help and donate for knowledge, because it's when I said that I didn't kind of misconstrue what I was saying, but what I was saying was that when we do donate, it should be towards knowledge, because you guys know best what you guys need. And if we were to come in and dictate and give money to where we think you need it, then that does no good for you guys. And if we were to give knowledge, then it helps you best, because you guys have the knowledge to be able to fix and take whatever you need to help you guys, so that it's a better situation for you, so that when we stop giving money, or whenever, if something does happen, you guys can thrive past what we do.
So let me continue where you raised a good point. And let me read this. You find this interesting. And it's about my home country. In Zimbabwe, a bar of iron costs $5. You can buy a bar of iron for $5. But if you turn it into a horseshoe, you can make $12. But if you make needles out of that bar of iron, you can create $3,500. Right? If you decide to take that bar of iron and make the balance springs for watches, you can make $300,000. So what some donors do is they will help you mine the bar of iron, give you your $5, take the bar across to the west, make springs, and then come and sell you a watch for more than what they paid for one bar. That's where there's social injustice. And I think that's kind of where they're going. Can somebody give me an example here in Malawi where you think aid made things worse? A specific example.
Okay, there was floods in this region of Malawi, and they came out of some parts of maize. Because aid is aid, people are not working on them. Some people were stealing those bags of maize and they were selling. So the target was not reached, and that I think is the worst part that brought that aid, because people were not did not work on that, and because it came as a free thing, they started selling the maize, stealing and the likes. So that's one part whereby aid comes with as waste.
Yes, sir.
Or maybe just to add a little bit. It's as I say, most of the times what normally happens is, for example, you want to donate something to Malawi, then you come through me. Okay, Joseph, you're in Malawi, yes, I want to come and donate, let's say, maize. I want to come donate bags of maize to the places that were flooded downstream, that side. Okay, then say, okay, fine, if the bags are welcome, then you arrange everything, those bags come in Malawi. So what normally happens is, to those that maybe have had access to such an opportunity, they take advantage of this situation. Or it's either they sell some, or maybe they first of all prefer their relatives. Like, okay, in as much as maybe they're not suffering and all that, or maybe they're not in the same situation, but when you find them maybe selling or maybe giving to their relatives. So it's a common thing that I think it's happening and it happens. So I was just trying to talk about the same.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Not very different from what I was going to say. Just to add, we know Malawi has been this aid was received for a very long time, but I don't think donors are convinced that their aid is going to focus on the mission. The problem that I see is that aid should make Malawi more economically independent than what it happens right now, because we actually see that the nature of the aid that Malawi receives is just trying to make it more dependent than it becoming independent. Issues of knowledge, and other people are going to say, there is a problem that there is a misuse of what has been donated. Because many times we talk about material things, money and stuff. But we know that if investment is done in knowledge, no one can misuse my knowledge. By the end of the day, no one can do corruption on my knowledge. So the aid that is being given, we actually not against the aid. Because at the end of the day, most of our budget is funded, I think 40%, if I'm not mistaken, is by the donors. But up there, donors wish to actually monitor where their fund is going and the impact that it is making. I don't know that part is fully monitored by the donors, but by the end of the day, what we wish to see is the nature of the donation that is trying to make our country more economic independent than what it has right now. So we can get back to the issue of where do we have actually prioritized. If we can talk the areas of agriculture, it's not just a matter of giving farmers these things to use, but actually investing knowledge on how they can do it more advanced, getting to the level or standard where issues are global. Yeah,
so you're talking about capacity building, right? True poverty elimination and aid that leads to liberation is when it leads to capacity building, right? So let me ask you a question. So you've watched this, they've given Haiti as an example. I've been to Haiti maybe 5-6 times, and that place is poor. And if you think that there's poverty in some places of Malawi, you haven't been to Haiti. And yet Haiti is very close to America, 2 hours flight. And people, when you catch a flight, 200 people who are working for aid agencies will get out from the flight. But nothing changes in Haiti. Nothing. So let me ask this question. If you, and I'm not asking a political question, I'm asking a legal question. If you were a leader and you had influence, what would you change as far as the aid structure?
Can I take that one first?
Yes.
In my understanding, there are a lot of factors to do with aid. Much as we want to be assisted, but where these things are discussed and negotiated, we are not there. So we don't know the actual agreement which the donor and us, even the leader who is standing for the country, what they are discussing and what they have agreed. Because we've seen so many projects that would have benefited the natives, but you find that no one is benefiting. The thing is, for example, let's say America wants to help Malawi, maybe constructing a stadium or a road or whatever infrastructure. What do? It's just an example. I've mentioned America, it's not America. It's just an example. What they do is, okay, we'll construct the stadium, but all engineers, they'll come from America. Yet we have the Polytechnic that is producing good engineers that understand Malawi. So you're taking an engineer from America who doesn't understand the soil of Malawi, who doesn't understand much about Malawi. So it's like, here's the project which would have helped the Aboriginals in maybe getting in jobs, but you find that 90% of the job is going back to the donor. The owners, maybe they just be pushing wheelbarrows and all those stuff. So we don't really benefit much. Our lives cannot be changed because of those type of donations and aids.
How do you think that, let me go back to the issue of poverty, right? So, driving around Malawi, you see the very rich and you see the very poor. You drive through Mandara, you see big houses. You go to Lilongwe, you see a shack. one country, barely 20 kilometers apart. How do you think, if you were to articulate a plan for eradicating poverty in Malawi, what would be some of those things that you think? And we've talked about capacity building, definitely. That's why you're a polytechnic. You're producing engineers. You're building the technological capacity of Malawi. You're producing doctors. Now you're even training doctors from other countries. So you're building capacity. But what else would you do?
For example, there is this investor who came to do mining in Malawi. You see, what he did is to get the permit, all the certificates, whatever, and he goes and do the survey where he thinks can go those stuff. And after finding it, then he tries to mine, take some, and say, okay, we're going back for testing. But we're going back for testing. Why can they build, if they are given the permission to mine in Malawi, why can they construct their laboratory right here, and they do the testing here? Why do they need to go and test it from their own countries? And they don't even come back. The results, they started maybe 2013, 2014, but it's still up to now, they are testing. If the results, we don't know. So, my understanding is, maybe the problem as well dwells with our leaders. This is why I've said, we don't know where these people, where they negotiate, and we don't know the content of their memorandum of understanding, whatever the agreement. We don't know. So my understanding is they do it in a way that they should be the first to benefit. You see? So if they benefit, they don't care about the other people's lives. Whether poverty will be eradicated or not, they don't care, provided they are okay with the project. I think that's what is happening in Africa.
There are many economic theories, and so there's the ultra-capitalists who are here, right? And the West will tell you capitalism is the answer to poverty eradication. But capitalism can only work if somebody else is poor. There has to be an economic gradient, because somebody has to be employed by someone, right, for it to work. And then you have on the other side where there's, it's a socialist state. And then you've got the middle, like Germany and the UK and all that sort of semi-socialist states. What do you think is the ideal economic philosophy that would eradicate poverty for a country like Malawi? From this continuum, you're looking at Malawi, you're looking at the situation. If you were made king and you can make rules today, what philosophy would you adopt in order to eradicate poverty?
Historically speaking, when after slavery, the people went into capitalism, and that's how we got the black market. That's how we got Tulsa, Oklahoma, and that kind of thing. Economics is kind of a difficult subject because you really don't necessarily know what is the best way to eradicate poverty, because either you solve the materialistic dilemma, but you have a poverty mindset. And that's even one of the issues that we have in America, is the slavery mentality of poverty. And one thing they even addressed in the movie, he said something about producing a generation of dependents, which is problematic in and of itself. And that's what you see when foreign aid, does come. So I'm wondering, even if somebody were to bring supplies from somewhere else to here, would it make sense to, instead of giving it to a specific region, a specific area, or would it make sense to donate it or whatever to local businesses so they can develop an economy in their own neighborhoods?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Going back up, so I feel like help is good in an instance where you're giving back to the community monetarily and educationally. So like your example was with the mining, it should have been something that Malawian people were doing. The workers were hired to mine for it. So that's economic growth going back into the public. And then you're right, with the testing, it should be in Malawi. It shouldn't be anywhere else. As far as they're taking it for their own benefit. You don't know where it's going. So being more, people who are helping, including the people more, instead of just trying to control and take over. It shouldn't be, it's like they're using your resources for their personal benefit because they got permission, but in whatever form or document that they signed, it wasn't stated that a part of the resources needed to be given back to the people. So with help should come education on why they're doing it and how Malawian people, citizens, can help with whatever they're trying to do. So I agree that you help, but you help more than just trying to benefit yourself.
So I think that in following line with Lemoyne and Sue, it's something that happens over time. It's something that you can't change immediately because if you move too fast, it causes a downfall and it causes disruption. And so it's something that happens that you have to do gradually. But like Lemoyne said, it happens in the mind first. Because to first be free, you must be free in your mind. Then you must think that you're free to be free. And so to like Sue said, you have to get the education about it first and know that this is where it needs to go, in the mind first, so that action will come from thought. And so after thought is action, which is when you get to be eradicated and liberated. And so that's where time falls in, because to learn takes time. And with thought, it takes time also. And so that's where you can't just be naive in the fact that to change something very quickly will be the freedom of something, because time is also a factor of encapsulating something. So it takes time, but it must first start with thought, and must start with knowledge first, and then action comes from knowledge.
We know that a mixed society is actually the best society. Where you have either pure socialism or you have pure capitalism, and neither one of those can work well. And America is a form of mixed economy. And so you have a mixture of capitalism and you have a mixture of social policies that help the poor. But in helping them, for instance, when we created welfare, the abuse of the welfare system is that people then felt that they no longer needed to work. The system was created as a stopgap to help people if they're losing their jobs, if they're in poverty, to help them until they can get to a place that they can find a job and then can take care of themselves again. But what happens is those measures, instead of them being stopgap measures, they become then the solution, and that's where the dependency happens. But I think ultimately, especially in third world countries, it is really the government. And the government often is corrupt and not working for the good of the people. For instance, in the Bahamas, we saw, when I was a little girl, there was a large gap between the wealthy Bahamians and poor Bahamians. And we had a government that came in that was for the people, and we saw that gap shrink. Today, when I look at it, there's a lot of foreign investment that is coming in, but the government is not doing things to protect the people. So I'm going to choose the Chinese company because they're the ones that have been coming in. And so they come into the Bahamas and they negotiate. And they say, if we come, we have to have this many Chinese managers, we have to have this many Chinese workers, and they negotiate that, and the government negotiates with them and agrees with it. Many times they line their own pockets at the expense of their people. And so if you can say, and then maybe they're afraid that they will lose out completely, and in the long run they think maybe they're hurting me more, but the local people don't know that, and everybody wants to understand what is it that our government is doing to help us, to protect us, to bring wealth to our and ownership, that we're not selling out our country to other countries. And so again, I think two things. Having a blend of a mixed society where you have capitalism and you're able to grow and work hard and gain wealth, and take care of those in your society who can't work and who can't take care of themselves. And take care of those people, and then put into place where you can a government that actually cares for and looks after the interests of their people rather than lining their own pockets.
In my view, suppose I'm put as the president of Republic of Malawi, how can I handle the situation? The first thing, what I believe in, the first thing is education. That's the first thing. The second thing is upbringing. In my understanding, it's not 100% wise to provide awesome education to somebody, but at the end of the time, bad upbringing. Suppose we're having awesome engineers, top engineers, architects, but they don't have good upbringing, morals, the likes of integrity, honest. That's not based for business. So we can have awesome companies, awesome maybe infrastructures, everything, but people handling those situations, those things are not faithful. Nothing will change. Oftentimes we blame our government, but I don't see the solution to that 100%. Like, we're not providing the solution to the situation. The first thing is to settle the upbringing, the moral and everything. Or what are we doing for the next generation government? Because we're gonna be on those top positions. So the first thing, I think the upbringing is 100% base thing to handle that. Because if I'm not well taught by maybe taught basics, how to handle people, how to be honest, integrity.
So you're talking about ethics?
Yes.
And morality, right?
Yes.
Before any of this, unless the people who are operating with ethics and with morality, then the situation never changes.
Yes, because suppose I'm well trained, I'm a professional, I'm an engineer, architect, I'm on the top position again, and maybe I'm leading the government. If I don't have integrity, I'll still carry on with corruption like how other people were doing in the past. So I think the solution to the situation is upbringing. Maybe people, they have to be taught how to be honest, those kind of things. Because if they're honest, they'll have love for their country. They won't do any kind of corruption. Because oftentimes we say people from other countries, they come and steal things. They cannot 100% steal on their own. There's an agreement with locals. They cannot just come and do whatever they think. So if somebody is well taught and he or she has love for his country, I believe they cannot be involved in those sort of things.